Hey, you're listening to Wrestling Roundup on FreeFM, ArrowFM, and MPR. As always, I'm Grady, and live on Skype we got Josh.
Hey.
And as usual, we're gonna know we're not. For once, we're not gonna start off by just cracking right into SmackDown and Raw. Instead, we're gonna open up with a fairly big announcement this week. WWE have come out and given two brand new positions to two veterans of the wrestling business. Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff will be the executive directors of Raw and SmackDown, respectively.
Yeah, this is definitely a big undertaking. We'll have to see what kind of changes are made, but we already felt the ripple effects on Raw with the Heyman regime. Unfortunately, it seems like we're going to have to wait a couple more weeks on the Eric Bischoff regime to begin. But
Yeah, obviously
so far,
you can't
so
just
good
drop
in Raw.
everything. Yeah, as you say, Bischoff, you can't drop everything and pick up a new role, but it was an interesting decision. Honestly, both of these guys were interesting decisions to come into the fray. You know, being one of many, but, you know, two big dudes from the companies of WWE past with ECW and with WCW. So it's pretty cool to see them come back out into that sort of similar role again.
Yeah. I know Eric had probably been wanting to get back into the business for a while, so this is a great opportunity for him. And regardless of what people think, Eric was pretty creative. Did he rely on the NWO a little too much? Yes. But
who wouldn't in that situation?
But he was really creative, and he came up with a lot of things that worked in the 90s that changed the business. Same goes for Paul Heyman, although Paul Heyman can't run a business to save his life. But with that said, he's probably the most creative mind in the business, in the history of the business. That's arguable with Vince McMahon himself. So having them in these positions works. And I do think that it was selected the way they were because of SmackDown going to broadcast television on Fox. That will give the executive director of SmackDown a little more leeway because they will know how to handle the executives that will be overseeing the programming on SmackDown. That definitely would not work with Paul Heyman. Especially if you've seen when he was on TNN.
Yeah, they made the right decisions on who to put everywhere.
And it kind of made more sense anyway, because Paul was pretty much on Raw to begin with anyway.
True.
With his advocacy of Brock Lesnar.
Mm-hmm. I've seen people suggesting that Brock should cash in on Kofi, move to SmackDown, and separate the two. But I don't know what exactly is going to happen. I feel like the way it is at the moment, Heyman, I don't know, Heyman feels like the guy who's like, okay, I will do you a favor in doing it for you. Whereas Bischoff, as you say, seems more like yeah, let me in, tag me in, I want to go.
Yeah, and Heyman, he doesn't want to be referenced as the executive director or anything. He doesn't want it brought up anytime he's on screen. When he's on screen, he is the advocate for Brock Lesnar. Mm-hmm. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And I think that's the right way to go. Because as the rumor says that the GM position is passé. It's own news.
Mm-hmm.
So they can be creative directors and not be on the screen. Yeah. Which is a great idea.
It's as you say, you know, Paul not being able to run a business, it's kind of the perfect role for him where he gets to do all of that. Because as far as I can understand this is basically running a wrestling show with someone above you that has final say, obviously, but running a wrestling show without all the massive difficulties of running a wrestling show.
And this will also let Triple H focus more on NXT and probably no longer on 205 Live, because it seems to sound like that experiment is coming to an end soon. and the wrestlers will be phased into the rosters.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with the 205 Live. Before this announcement was made public by WWE, everyone was talking about it. I think the quote was something along the lines of they would be the Triple H of Raw and SmackDown, referring to his role in NXT, and how he basically runs the wrestling show. It's pretty, the three of them line them up, and they've each got their own little brand.
Who would have thought that 20 years ago, Eric Bischoff, Paul Heyman, and Vince McMahon would all be working together on something and not trying to kill each other?
Hell truly hath frozen over. But as you said at the top of the show, the ripples throughout Raw already of Paul Heyman coming in. By the sounds of it, they're going to be, continuing off storylines that were already started, but in terms of new ones, it seems like Heyman's already poking his finger into a whole lot of pies.
They definitely pushed a reset button, that's for sure. There was a few things that were left unchanged because they just they have to finish those storylines out. But we got one major ramp up in a storyline we were pretty bored with up to this point in the Strowman and Lashley feud.
Yeah, basically you can put a line in that feud and say, before Heyman, tug of wars and arm wrestling. After Heyman, smashing through the set.
Which, by the way, anytime they showed that gaping hole the rest of the show, I just busted out laughing. Because it was just so ridiculous.
Honestly, I feel like there's going to be a thing from the internet where they over-contribute everything to these people. So I'm gonna say more vaguely, whoever's idea it was to do, near the top of the show, or not as the final moment, that person's great. Whoever decided, hey, we did want to have that hole there.
Yeah, it was a great way to kick off Raw and establish that this is the same Raw we've had recently. And then it just kept going, and then we got a new tag team on the scene. The current NXT Tag Team Champions, the Street Profits, who, unlike the previous ones, brought the titles with them.
Yeah, I don't know obviously whose decision that was. I feel like the Viking Raiders would have. But yes, the Street Profits showing up and being openly acknowledged as the NXT Tag Team Champions constantly, with the belts, doing everything, and actually starting off their main roster career with a segment with Paul Heyman.
They made me bust out laughing. Oh, God. I can see why people are so high on these guys.
Mm-hmm.
They were just so darn entertaining and anytime they were on screen.
Yeah. I feel like, it's way too early to tell, but I feel like this may turn around the whole please keep me in NXT type mentality stuff. I'm crossing my fingers, but, the Street Profits might be the first tag team brought up and not screwed up.
Imagine Paul Heyman running the career of Velveteen Dream.
I might not have to imagine it.
Yes. Velveteen Dream would have thrived in the old ECW. He probably would have been as big as Taz was, which is saying something because Taz was huge in the ECW.
Yeah, it brings up so many more interesting prospects. I'm quite interested to see where we are. I don't want to say a year from now. Maybe in the lead up to next year's WrestleMania, something along that lines. Obviously they're going to have massive impact starting off because we're going to be going from 0 to 1 million in terms of their influence and stuff. But let's see long term, I guess, how long that can hold out. What the fallout is going to be. Are we going to be keeping up this sort of wild card rule, or are we going to be getting more stricter on the brands because they want to have a sort of a fight between them? There's so many different things that I can see them doing.
Yeah. I really don't know what the plan is, and I think that's the best part about this. We'll have to see where they go. I definitely think, as far as SmackDown goes, we probably won't see the real ratchet up of it until closer to October when they switch over to Fox.
Yeah.
So I think they'll have a little bit more to rope than Raw, which is already beginning its changes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you want a little bit so you can see some improvement, but they definitely want to keep something in their back pocket for the Fox.
Well, WrestleMania will be fun to see what they do with if they're still in this kind of position at that point.
I would hope so. I would hope that this is the thing going forward for at least a long period of time. Whether this is seen as sort of a knee-jerk, correct the train on the tracks type thing, or whether this is seen as a long-term investment, we won't know until we're 6, 7, 8 months down the line. But I'm interested to find out. Well, that was us talking about some new backstage positions for 10, 20 minutes, 10, 15 minutes. Whoops. But hey, it doesn't matter, because that's what's important in WWE this week, and what will be important in the next 6 months. So we will actually go into our theme here. I think this is a good stopping point, and then we'll do Raw and SmackDown afterwards. I believe your logic behind choosing the theme this week was, well, Heyman doesn't have a theme, so let's play Bischoff's.
Yeah. Otherwise we would just be playing the ECW theme, and that just won't work.
No. So here you go. Listen to one of the best entrance themes that I hope I get to hear soon. It's Eric Bischoff. And you're back with the Wrestling Roundup on FreeFM 89.0. Grady and Josh, and also ArrowFM and NPR. Almost skipped them, but I didn't. We're here. We're gonna try and touch on some Raw stuff that we didn't hit already, because there is some stuff. First up, Undertaker, he comes out. Shane, you are scared. He bolts off, and now we got ourselves a no-holds-barred tag team match.
Yeah, we actually got an actual explanation from The Undertaker as to why he's doing what he's doing. And it actually makes sense.
What? Hold on. A storyline making sense? Oh.
That's must be a Heyman influence.
Yeah, that'd be good.
I'm interested only because, well, I want to see if this ends the feud, first and foremost. And secondly, I want to see The Undertaker perform better than he did at Super Showdown.
Mm-hmm. I want to cross my fingers. And let that be his
swan song.
Yeah, and say that there's no way that he could do worse. So, let's hope. Also, we continue on with Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins making a team, preparing for their Extreme Rules match, and they took out Mike and Maria Kanellis.
And apparently Becky got Maria pregnant. At least that's what the internet thinks.
Let's go with it.
Yeah, why not? It's better than just the random stuff they gave us.
Yeah, this was, at least for Maria, I'm going to imagine her last match for a while. But at the moment, it just seems like it's couples taking on the team of Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch, and they're all going to fall, I imagine. Mike and Maria up on Raw, and I believe Andrade and Zelina on screen tandem will be going up against them at some point as well.
I wouldn't be surprised if Rusev and Lana fall to them too.
Yeah, I think it's just going to be a thing that we're going to do leading up to the Baron Corbin, Lacey Evans match at Extreme Rules.
And they've been laying down the groundwork that they could possibly turn on each other. Because a couple never does that in WWE.
Yeah. And I'd also like to note that this last chance winner take... Oh, this is really long. Hold on. I'm going to read the full stipulation out here. The last chance winner takes all mixed tag team Extreme Rules match for both the WWE Universal Championship and the WWE Raw Women's Championship now has its stipulation.
Which you begged for last week.
I did.
So you got received.
Thank you. I'll note that down. I owe WWE 1 Hershey's Kisses, and I'll send that over. I won't.
This match makes sense for that stipulation.
Someone was going to get it. It's the name of the pay-per-view.
I think there was a couple years ago when there was a Extreme Rules that didn't have an Extreme Rules match.
Constantly reference it. It's great. It's the best example. That's why I throw that out every year. I save that joke every year I get to make it. And then we also have a new 24/7 champion, Drake Maverick, winning it back.
Yeah, but who in their right mind goes on a honeymoon to San Antonio?
The best part is, honestly, if you like the 24/7 championship stuff and you're only watching Raw and SmackDown or you're watching bits and pieces there, go to Twitter. Just look at all the videos Drake Maverick is posting. Because this guy's gold. And it's not stuff that's always on the TV shows, but it's worth going out of your way to go see. And I'm pretty sure at the moment he's just beefing with his wife, because I think they went to Orlando now, which is interesting. But yes, I believe they are currently in Orlando, celebrating their honeymoon, which is the home of
This is probably a big moment for his wife. I mean, she did perform in the Mae Young Classic. This is getting her exposure and could possibly get her own deal with the company.
She's willing to, have her wedding turn into this sort of fiasco and be used for storylines and stuff.
Because she's part of the industry herself, so she completely understands.
Yeah.
It'd be another story if this was just a random woman that he married that wasn't in the business.
To me, Orlando, it's a lovely place, but it's also the home of a certain center where people like to perform, as well as a yellow brand.
Yeah, as well as the former home of Drake Maverick's former employer.
There's options, but we'll see.
Yeah, I could definitely see him showing up on NXT and losing the title.
Yeah, I feel like, because NXT's pre-taped, I feel like the crossover would be really hard there, but it wouldn't be hard to go to the Performance Center and have an NXT guy take it there. Yeah. There's so many options.
Well, it would be the first time they've taped something after doing the regular tapings.
It's true. You could have Shawn Michaels win.
To the main roster and winning the Divas Championship comes to mind.
Yeah. You could have Shawn Michaels win if he's currently teaching at the Performance Center. One more run. One more title shot. It wouldn't be hard. And then... Oh, you go.
I know when I was watching Impact, in the brief period that I did, Rockstar Spud, which is Drake Maverick's previous name, was definitely the most entertaining thing that at least kept me sane while I was watching it.
He is insane, and I am finally glad that he is getting some spotlight. Very happy. And then finally, the last thing on Raw... We're running out of time. Last thing on Raw, the club beat down Ricochet.
I really wish that it had just been a roll-up win, rather than doing the fake-out. Although it makes sense why they would do that, because it led to the AJ heel turn. I think it would have meant more if Ricochet had just lucked into a win. Yeah,
I get you there. But by the sounds of it, Ricochet, he's got his jetpack on.
Yeah, he's definitely he's got bigger things on his plate now.
And we'll be seeing him among the stars soon. Totally not a pun. The superstars, damn it. Oh, I missed an opportunity.
Let's see how long he holds the United States title. I'm hoping at least 3 to 4 months. I think that would be a good, fair, long title run for him.
I could see the AJ Styles stuff stretching. So we'll see. Over on SmackDown, because we've got to give the Blue Brand a little bit of time, the Kevin Owens show cracks open the show. He's got himself some Drew McIntyre and Shane McMahon. He just spends 5 minutes berating them, refusing to read off the cards. Then Dolph Ziggler comes out, and if you haven't seen the clip of that, I suggest you go watch the clip of that, because he goes off on Ziggler and tells some #hard truths. And it's great.
I would be all for Owens being face if it would get him away from Sami Zayn.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. Anything at this point. As I've been saying for months, anything. Just please do anything. But the interesting part here is what this match led to. So at Extreme Rules, it will be Daniel Bryan and Rowan defending their WWE SmackDown Tag Team Championships against the New Day, and the winner of the main event, Heavy Machinery, versus Kevin Owens and Dolph Ziggler, the unlikely duo who hate each other.
As if that pair ever had a chance.
You can't see it, but
no.
I'm doing the Otis arm pump here. We're going.
You know what? I think they just delayed our expectations on when Heavy Machinery would claim the titles.
Yes!
I think we're getting them at Extreme Rules, and it would, in a triple threat match, it would be easier for them to win it and not really hurt Daniel Bryan that much.
Mm-hmm. I'm in. I love it. Give them the titles. Give them now. Gimme.
You've got to wait about 9 more days.
That's too long. Too long. What it is not too long for, God, these segues, is Nikki Cross. She hosted a Moment of Bliss and then takes on Bayley, ultimately in a losing effort.
Our crazy girl is at it again.
I could see her being champ sooner rather than later.
I would love it.
We just somehow got to get past our Bayley versus Alexa Bliss match that is currently booked at Extreme Rules to get there. Yeah. Or change it up.
Yeah, what if it was Nikki that took the title off of the man?
Sure. I'll take anything. There's very few people in the WWE.
I wouldn't mind her winning the Blue Brands title, because then we could get Asuka versus Nikki again.
That's good.
That was an insane match back in NXT.
There was so many good matches between so many different people in NXT, and it's just a case of like, I want to see it again. Let me see it again. And it would be another good one. If you're looking at the champs, I feel like both of them have a timer on them. So it'll be a case of which one's timer is going to click first. But I could see Nikki coming over to SmackDown, winning that belt, separating her from Alexa. Depending, of course, I guess, how hard that brand separation wall is going to be coming crashing down. Because nobody knows. And then Kofi Kingston, Samoa Joe, they continue to hype up this WWE Championship match they're going to have. Samoa Joe hating on all the New Day, but Kofi coming out and saying he can easily retain.
The biggest thing? Kofi flipped off Samoa Joe.
Hashtag edgy.
Hashtag TV14.
Yeah. Honestly, like, we have a new era every 6 months in the WWE at the moment, it seems. But if legitimately Heyman and Bischoff are going to be taking it forward, and they are taking the more teenage route to try and beat out AEW before they hit TV, I feel like we could draw a line in the sand and call this a new one. You know, a legitimate new one, not WWE's marketing branding new one.
Yeah. It's possible, but it's going to be hard with AEW on a different night. That's what made the Monday Night War so special, was that both shows were on the same night at the same time.
Yeah, and you also got the, I guess, bonus for some, downside for others of the internet, right? In terms of, you can watch it afterwards. You don't have to watch it live. You're not going to be sitting there switching between channels or anything, or like that. You can just be like, I'll just watch it the next day. DVR it.
And that's why the ratings don't matter anymore.
Nobody watches live
another
TV.
thing is that we don't know if AEW is going to be live. That's a major question mark that we have. Because if it's not live, that will hurt its ratings because, well, people can just type away a few things on their computers and then find out everything that happens and not watch the show. Yeah. That's what happened to SmackDown when it was taped.
Yeah, it's a hard one. to come out and run a pro wrestling show like that. You know, you got to be able to keep, especially one that's so focused on being internet heavy like AEW is. I feel like they would be making a massive mistake if they didn't go live. Massive.
We just have too many questions with AEW right now, and that's not a slight at them.
No.
It's just we don't know anything, and that can really hurt people's interest in it.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're going to end on that note because we are all out of time. It's been great talking to you. You can visit our Facebook page, facebook.com/WrestlingRadio, Twitter page, twitter.com/WrestlingRadio, and we'll see you next week.